Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, um, according to our presentation about what is kind of the difference between federal government and state government in Malaysia. It's my slides. Okay, first of all, the first slide shows. Okay, this is show the Kerajaan Persekutuan, or we call it as federal government. The federal government of Malaysia abides by by the Federal Constitution of Malaysia, the highest law in country. The federal government of Malaysia abides by this by and is created by the Federal Constitution of Malaysia, the highest law in the country. Malaysia is a federation of 13 states operating under constitutional monarchy under the Westminster parliamentary system and its characteristics of parliamentary democracy. The federal government applies the principle of separation of power and has three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. So I show first of all what is the federal government. Okay, it branches to three parts: executive, legislative, and judicial. Okay, first of all, so I show you about the legislation. The parliament in Bicameral in Asia, meaning they consist two main houses named Dewan Perwakilan of Dewan Rakyat. Generally, we call it as Dewan Rakyat. And the main house, the Senate of Dewan Negara, literally Dewan Negara. In the Senate, all 70 senators may be members of for a period 3 years in one round form terms, maximum 2 terms. 26 members are elected by 13 states. And the other 44 members are elected by the Yang di-Pertua Agong on the advice of the Prime Minister of Malaysia. 44 members of senator choose by YDPA, where is by advice from Prime Minister. Okay, next, the Dewan Rakyat. 222 members were elected through general election of district in Malaysia and determined by Election Commission of Malaysia. The executive. Okay, the Malaysia Constitution stipulates that the Prime Minister must be a member of the Rakyat of Parliament who in the opinion Yang di-Pertuan Agong YDPA has gained a majority of the trust of member of Parliament. The executive branch of government consists the Prime Minister as chief executive, followed by various of other cabinet minister. Next is judiciary. It was the highest court of the judicial system is the federal court, followed by the court of appeal and two high courts, one for Peninsula and one for East Malaysia. The lower courts in each jurisdiction include the session of court and the magistrate court and the court of children. Alright. Next, for the role of federal government. This is the part of the duty of federal government. So we can see it's and part of it: foreign affairs, national defense, internal security, law and judiciary, federal citizenship, trade and transports companies, education, press and censorship.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Nasran bin Khairuddin. My metric number is 1211681. Right now, I want to explain about the state government. What the meaning of the state government? A state government is the government of a subdivision of a country in the formation of a federal government, in which it shares political power with the federal or state government. The state government can have political autonomy in a number of matters, or remain under the control of the federal government. This relationship have usually been specified in their respective constitution. Head of state. Number 1, Sultan. Sultan is head of state by Perak, Kedah, Selangor, Kelantan, Terengganu, Johor and Pahang. Number 2, Raja. Raja is head of state by police. Number 3, Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. Yang di-Pertuan Negeri is head of state by Melaka, Pulau Pinang, Sabah and Sarawak. Number 4, Yang di-Pertuan Besar. Yang di-Pertuan Besar is head of state by Negeri Sembilan. The next one, the rule of Sultan, Raja and Yang di-Pertuan Besar. Number 1, elected according to the state constitution or based on the succession to the royal throne. The next one, as the Sultan as the head of the Islamic religion in the country. The next, Sultan or Raja and YDPB become a component of the state legislature but do not participate in conference. The next, Sultan acting on the advice of the Menteri Besar and the State Government Council in governing the state. Beside that, the jurisdiction of Sultan, Raja and YDPP, carrying out responsibility based on discretionary power and advisory power. Discretionary power, number 1, appoint a prime minister, number 2, give approval to dissolve the state assembly at the request of the chief minister. Number 3, appoint a cabinet of regents, peers and queens. Lastly, agreed to confer a state degree. Advisory power, number 1, advised by Government Council and Amnesty Council, as well as Chief Judge. Number 2, power involved in advisory powers, officiated the State Legislative Conference. The next one, approve the state bills. Finally, pardon criminals, offenders who commit minor offence. The role of the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. Yang di-Pertuan Negeri as head of the state in Melaka, Sabah, Penang and Sarawak. He was part of the meeting of the Council of Kings. Yang di-Pertuan Negeri appoint the chief minister. Beside that, he gave approval to dissolve the state assembly at the request of the chief minister. The next one, agreed to confer a state degree. Beside that, appoint members of state government meetings on the advice of the chief minister. Chairman of the pardon board, Yang di-Pertuan Negeri call, officiate and speak in the state legislature only because he did not participate in the state legislation. The next one, approve enactment and ordinance. The next one, appoint magistrate on the advice of the Chief Justice of Malaysia, Sabah or Sarawak. Chief Minister is the chief executive of the state government. Chief Minister also exercises the executive power of the state held by the head of state. The Chief Minister also is a member of the state legislature and has the support of the majority of the state legislature. The Chief Minister is appointed by the King or Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. The next one, the role of the Chief Minister. Chief Minister accompanies the King or Yang di-Pertuan Negeri to the meeting of the Council of Kings. The Chief Minister is also a member of the Amnesty Board for the state. The Chief Minister elects members of the Council of State Government meetings to be appointed by the King or Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. The Chief Minister also presides over state government and state administration meetings. The title of minister, the title of Chief Minister. Ketua Menteri, a title for the Chief Executive of monarchical states. Menteri Besar, a title for the Chief Executive of the monarchical state. The State Government Council. State Government Council have permanent provision in the state constitution. The State Government Council has a cabinet at the federal level. The State Government Assembly consists of 4 to 12 members from the state legislature. The members of the Council of the State Government are appointed by the King or Yang di-Pertuan Negeri. The State Government Council is the highest state policy maker and the governing body that implements the state administration. The role of State Government Council. The members of State Government Council are collectively accountable to the state legislature. The members of State Government Council cannot carry out their original job. The members of the State Government Council plan state develop, development policies and act to carry out state government. The members of the State Government Council act as administrative advisor to the Sultan Raja di-Pertuan Negeri or Yang di-Pertuan Besar. The members of State Government Council hold a state portfolio such as education, agriculture, and housing exco.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Hadi bin Omar. My metric number is 1211689. I'm from Group 2. Now I will explain about Constitution of Malaysia. The Constitution of Malaysia, officially the Federal Constitution of Malaysia, is the main law in Malaysia. Containing 183 articles, it is a written legal document that has been formed based on two previous documents, namely the Federation of Malaya Agreement 1948 and the Independence Constitution of 1957. Now we go to the history behind the Constitution of Malaysia. The Constitution was drafted on the advice of the Red Commission, which conducted a study in 1956. The Constitution came into force immediately after independence on 31 August 1957. It starts from a constitutional conference held in London on 18 January to 6 February 1956, attended by a delegation from the Federation of Malaya, consisting of 4 government representatives, namely the Chief Minister of the Federation was Tunku Abdul Rahman and 3 other ministers, and also the British High Commissioner in Malaya and his advisor. Now we go for the structure of the Constitution of Malaysia. The Constitution in its current form, 1 November 2010, consists of 15 parts containing 230 articles and 13 schedules, including 57 amendments. Now, the parts of the Constitution of Malaysia. They have 15 parts. We start from part 1. It's about the state, religion, and law of the federation. Part 2 is about fundamental liberties. Part 3 is about citizenship. Part 4 is about the federation. Part 5, the state. Part 6, relation between the federation and the state. Part 7, financial provision. Part 8, election. Part 9, the judiciary. Part 10 is about public service. Part 11 is about special power against subversion, organized violence, and acts and crime prejudicial to the public and emergency powers. Part 12 is about general and miscellaneous. Special about the part 12, they have the additional part special for Sabah and Sarawak. Part 12A, additional protection for the state of Sabah and Sarawak. Part 13, temporary and transitional provision. Part 14, saving for rulers, sovereign, etc. And lastly, Part 15, proceedings against the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and the rulers. Now we go to the schedule parts. They have 13 schedules in Malaysia Constitution. First schedule is Article 18 in bracket 1 and Article 19 in bracket 9 is about of application for registration or naturalization. The second schedule, Article 39, is about citizenship by operation of law of person born before, on or after Malaysia Day and supplementary provision relating to citizenship. Third schedule, Article 32 and 33, election of Yang di-Pertuan Agong and Timbalan Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Then fourth schedule, Article 37, oaths of office Yang di-Pertuan Agong and Timbalan Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Fifth schedule is Article 38 in bracket 1, the Conference of Rulers. And sixth schedule, Article 43 in bracket 6, Article 43B in bracket 4, Article 57 in bracket 1A in bracket A, Article 59 in bracket 1, Article 124 and Article 142 in bracket C is about forms of oaths and affirmations. And last 7 schedule, Article 45 is about election of senators. Okay, now we move on to the next one. We start at schedule. At schedule, Article 71, provision to be inserted in state constitution. Then 9 schedule, Article 74 and 77, is about legislative list. Then the 10th schedule, Article 109, 112C and 161C in bracket 3 is about grants and source of revenue assigned to states. 11. Schedule Article 160 in bracket 1 provision of the interpretation and general clause Ordinance 1948 Malayan Union Ordinance number 7 of 1948 applied for interpretation of the Constitution. Second last, the 12th Schedule, provision of the Federation of Malaya Agreement 1948 as applied to the Legislative Council after Merdeka Day repeal. And last, the 13th Schedule, Article 113, 116, and 117 is about provision relating to delimitation of constituencies. Now we go to the next chapter, which is the article. Example article from the Constitution. Article 8. Article 8 state the right to equal treatment in law. Second, Article 10. Article 10 state the right of Malaysian citizen to speak, assemble, and associate. And the 3, Article 11. Article 11 of the Malaysian Constitution state that Islam is the federal religion. Even so, other religions can be practiced peacefully in any part of the federation. Now we go to the Article 24. Article 24 states that a person who has the citizenship of another country will be deprived of his citizenship. Then Article 25 says that a citizen can be deprived of his citizenship if proven disloyal to the state. For Article 48. Article 48 states on disqualification as a member of parliament, the most popular is in clause 1E. He has been convicted of an offence by a court in the federation or before Malaysia Day in a territory included in the state of Sabah or Sarawak or in Singapore and sentenced to imprisonment for a term not less of 1 year or a fine of not less than 2,000 ringgit and and he does not obtain a free pardon. Now Article 119. Article 119 states that a citizen who is 20 years of age, resident or non-resident, residing in any constituency of the Dewan Rakyat or Dewan Undangan Negeri may vote in elections. Article 152. Special about Malay language. Article 152 of the Malaysian Constitution states that the national language is Malay. However, the Constitution guarantees freedom of learning and use of other language except for official purpose. Official purpose herein means any purpose government, whether national or state, and includes any purpose of public domination. For this enforcement, all court proceedings and parliamentary documents, as well as meetings, must be conducted in Malay. The writing for the Malay language is also stated in Article 152 as a Rumi or Latin writing. However, the use of Jawi is not prohibited under Section 9 of the National Language Act 1963-1967. Now we go to the last two articles, Article 153 and Article 159. Article 153 of the Malaysian Constitution gives right to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong responsible for safeguarding the rights and privilege of the Malays and Bumiputra of the Malaysia. This article tells in detail how the federal government defends the interests of these groups by establishing quotas for public service admissions, scholarships, and public education. It is commonly considered part of a social contract. And lastly, Article 159. Article 159, the Malaysian Constitution provides for the right of how the Malaysian Constitution is amended. Item tells in detail how legislators (MPs) make constitutional amendments. Now we go to the amendment of the Federal Constitution part. To amend the Constitution, a two-thirds majority agreeing to this amendment requires the consent of both House of Parliament. According to constitutional expert Shah Salim Faruqi, the Constitution has been amended 42 times in the 48 years after independence until 2005. The federal constitution has been amended several times to meet current needs, and several previous amendments to the federal constitution have caused great controversy in the political arena in Malaysia. Based on the Article 159 we have yet before that, we know the federal constitution can be amended, but how? According to Article 159 and 161E, the federal constitution can be amended in four ways, namely, number one, through the support of two-thirds majority of the members of the Malaysian Parliament and the consent of the Conference of Rulers. Second, through the support of two-thirds majority of MPs and the consent of the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri of Sabah and Sarawak. Third, through the support of a simple majority of one half of the MPs. And lastly, through the support of two-thirds majority of MPs. Now we go to the last slide. Although the constitution can be amended in the interest of the people and the country, but there are some things that cannot be questioned, such as: first, Islam has the official religion and religion of the Federation. 2. The special position of the Malay and Bumiputra rulers in Sabah and Sarawak. Third, the position of Malay as the national and official language. And last, is about citizenship issues.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Arisha bin Abdul Anis. My number metric is 1211687. So today I will present the relationship between the federal and state government according to the federal constitution, which refers to legal, previous and case law. So the first point is Part 4 of the Federal Constitution details the relationship between the Federation and the state in 8 chapter and consists of 28 article. So, in the 28 article, we can see in the chapter the number 1 is the division of legislative power that consists in article 73 to 79. Second, the division of executive power that consists in article 80 to 81, and then the division of financial burden that consists in Article 82, and number 4 about the land that consists Article 83 to 91, and then Article 84 repealed it, and number 5 is national development that consists in Article 92, and number 6 is the federal survey, federal advice to state and federal inspection on state activities that consists in Article 93 to 95, and then the 7 is national council for local government in Article 95A, and application of the state of Sabah and Sarawak in Article 95B to Article 95E. So, a part of the 7, the relationship between the two level of government can also be seen indirectly in the previous of Part 7 or Part 6, which is the previous of financial matter. Other previous days are not included in these two parts, but have implication of federal and state relations are provisions relating to the declaration of emergency and provision relating to the amendment of the constitution. So, in emergency related matters are mentioned in Article 150 of the Federal Constitution, which is one of the provisions in Part 8, while the not Part 8, in Part 11, while the relevant provisions of the amendment of constitution are found in Article 159 and 169E, which in Part 12. So, if observed as all, the combination of all provision in Part 5 and 7 and 6 are the emergency related previously, as well as the previous relationship to the amendment of the constitution. It creates 6 important issues that concern the relationship between the federation and the state. And then we go to this another point in second. So each of 13 states in Malaysia has its own legislation. The state legislative assembly that's named DUN, and the state government. So the DUN has the power to enact law for each state, while the state government had the power to administer the state according to those laws. So, number 3, there are 3 lists in the constitution that the federal list the matters that fall under the authority of parliament. So, we have the states list the matter that fall under the jurisdiction of the DUN, and the joint list that things that the parliament and DUN can legislate. So, the list is, we can see in among the list under the federalist are external relationship with such as international agreement, defense, international security, civil, criminal law, procedure including the judicial and power of courts, except state Sharia courts, official secret, Islamic law, and other personality of the purpose of the federal law and Malaysian citizen. It also include like things like finance, trade, industry, including import and export, shipping, including ports, communication, transport, education, medicine, health and education, welfare, tourism, labor, and social security. So, as the state list, it includes about the Islamic law and personal and family law for individuals who profess Islam, creating Sharia courts, land, agriculture, forest, local government, local authority, local government election, market, and theatre listening, cinemas, and place of public entertainment, state and waterwork, except water supply and service, as well as state holidays. So, in the joint list, include the government, which is the parliament and the dune, uh, include the public welfare, scholarship, welfare protection, national parks, town and country planning, public health, direct the English culture and sport, as well as housing and provisions of housing facility. So the joint list allows Parliament and the State Assembly to enact law for the same thing as long as the law is not layer or contradictory. It can continue to exist and operate together. So that's all for me.